How is it going, everybody? We are moving on with our next part of the set review. This is wind. This is such a strange element to talk about. I know this is probably Travis's least favorite element in the game. I would have said this was my favorite all the way through probably Opus 21, and I just nothing in wind has done it for me lately. I really don't like the direction mono wind has gone. None of the wind is, I think, the element that is the most parasitic at this point. Like nothing else want what wind is offering, it feels like to me.
Mm, y-
So I'm hoping this is the set that starts to change that a little bit. I've been saying that for the last several sets now. We'll see how we're doing.
Yeah, I'm assuming most Windex are still doing like some version of the Luso slurry, as you called it once.
Yeah, it's just all of the good cast stuff, and now they just have one less broken card in their deck that, with the Tomo. So it's like
Yeah.
they haven't found a direction, and like the only card that non-wind decks want from wind is the free cast Alexander at this point. Like everything
Uh,
else, and because the Alexander's good, maybe if your deck has some number of summons, you can consider Lulu. And it's like there's nothing else. Like the next best thing you're looking at is like Aerith or Yuffie or like the kind of pseudo generic wind cards that you could play in other decks. Dorgan is like a really bad cloud, but like being a bad cloud is probably like okay.
yeah.
Like Wind just hasn't had anything that really makes other decks want to play Wind cards. It was even a problem. Like if you look at my Refia builds, it was like Wind was always the element that's like I'm just going to discard a Warrior of Light to get my King Tycoon in play and just not worry
Yeah.
about it. So let's see what they have in store for us this set. And speaking of Warrior of Light, our first card is Warrior of Light. He is a 4-cost 5k Category 1 Job Warrior of Light. If you have 5 or more wind backups, he gains 4,000 power and cannot be chosen by abilities. And when he enters the field, he can reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, play a wind character of cost 2 or less, and return the rest to the bottom of the deck in any order. Man, they really tried to make a balanced version of Opus 21 Warrior of Light, didn't they?
Right? Yeah. Yeah, they really reeled this one in comparatively. The biggest
Um,
thing that stands out to me about this is just thinking of that basic Wind deck. I just don't know how many characters you're going to hit because you have quite a few summons. You could high roll this early. Like, let's say you didn't get into any backups. You're like, all right, I don't have any backups. I'm just going to slam him down. Maybe I'll get a free backup off of it. That would be kind of cool. As far as forwards, probably like Zidane, like maybe Luso, but I don't know if you want to necessarily hit Luso off of this. Atomos obviously would have been to get a hit before the ban happened. So, like, I actually like this card quite a bit. I like that it encourages you to play backups. It's nice that he becomes a big 9K untargetable by abilities at that point. I don't know. And then if you're so maybe you really need to cater a deck towards these 2 costs because we've seen other cards like this, right? Like the Galoof and just all these cards that like they want to have 2 costs in play. But then is this the card that you want for that? I don't know. What do you think?
it's annoying because like Wind has been actually hurting for a card named Warrior of Light that it can play because the Princess Goblin is such a good card. Like Princess
Hmm.
Goblin is a 3-cost backup that gets a 1-cost backup. And then but like once that 1-cost backup option is gone, which has to be Princess Sarah, there's she has to find a Warrior of Light. And there are like 3 Wind Warriors of Light in print and none of them are bangers. You have the one that cares
Yeah.
about like standard unit forwards entering your field, and you get to activate 2 backups. It's good in very specific decks. You have the starter deck one from the Dissidia starter that like gains a crystal when you play it or a DFF forward, and then you can pay a crystal to make him untargetable. And it's like he's just kind of a bungus that sits there and doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then you have this, and it's like if the moon lines up, he's a free untargetable 9k, assuming you can hit a win cost 2 cost character off the top of your deck that you're
Yeah.
happy with. But if you think about like the way these win decks are constructed, it's like what are you playing in your deck? You're playing Norstalin, that's a 4 cost. You're playing Lulu, that's a
Yeah.
3 cost. Citra's a light card. You're playing 15 summons. None of the you can't like add a wind
Yeah.
card to your hand. If it was like play a wind character or add a wind card from among them to your hand,
Oh
like
yeah. Then that'd be huge.
that would like you would actually consider this card then because then it would be like a way of digging for action and like it wouldn't whiff on summon. So now you have to like Fina 3 cost, Rosa 3 cost, like all of
Yeah.
these like really most important cards in slot are not 2 cost. Even Princess Goblin,
Yeah.
I talked about earlier, that's a 3 cost.
I'll say Zidane seems like the primary target, the one that mills off of their deck. But
But like even
again, like
that,
no one's ever had trouble just playing that.
and like even then, it's like you have to like go out of your way to make this your third cast and then hope to find that Zidane, because the Zidane's only
Yeah.
okay if you're just flipping one card off of their deck, right?
Yeah.
So, like, he's better than the other option if we wanted to do like a Princess Goblin, Princess Sarah backup engine. And this art is so cool. Like, I love the
Yeah.
art. I want to see this in foils so bad and see that green pop with the like FF foiling. But like, there's just not a deck that this goes in, and like, you have to play him in a win deck, probably like a very heavy win deck at least for the play effect. I don't know how much you care about that first effect at the end of the day. Like, it'll be nice and untargetable 9K, but like that's a late game ability, right? Like that doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not like he's always untargetable abilities and then just gains the power and like you can like maybe play him to Stonewall Knights. No, you have to get your 5 backups for this guy to have any relevant text on him after. But
Right.
and it's like
He kind of feels at odds design wise too, right? Like if you want to get to 5 backups, well then you're kind of encouraging the big Luso cast turn that, hey, I have all these resources so I can cast a lot. Whereas his second effect almost makes me think you want to get him out earlier so you have that chance of getting that free backup into play. So yeah, I don't know.
yeah, there's just not a deck. Like, it's not a bad card. There's a world where this becomes like a one of in the deck, or like some kind of weird low cost. Like, they've tried to make this low cost win deck happen a couple of times with like the Balthier legend from like Opus 20.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Opus 21, 20, Opus 20, one of those sets.
Yeah,
Like,
21 or
I
22.
think it was
Maybe.
21. Where they like, they want to have all these like little wind characters enter play, and then like when you have all these wind characters enter play, they all like ping and do all this other stuff, and it's like it's neat conceptually. I like the idea of trying to push wind away from just being cast dot deck, but every single one of these synergies starts to kind of fall apart when you realize that like that just A isn't how the game is played. B doesn't
Yeah.
fix any of the problems Wind has with like aggro or being run down by decks that are hitting it. And C, like if your deck cares about your Wind character count to that degree, you just get blown out by Shantoto or a Neo
Mm-hmm.
X Death or a double Vanille special. Like, it's so easy to get blown out if all of your character count is the only thing that matters in your deck.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's a game plan that feels flawed, and like even that deck, like the Balthier was neat in that he could represent a board wipe and he could reactivate all your characters and like lead these like really neat turns. But every single trigger he did was cancelable and Amaterasuable and
Mm-hmm.
Kukullenable, and it's like you're investing all this into this thing, and then like by the time you realize your opponent has the interaction to make you fizzle, you've already invested so heavily into your combo and doing that you've lost the game because you're not going to be able to repeat the combo again.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. I want to like this card and I really just don't.
That's okay. I do
Um,
like this card, however, especially like if you're going in on the crystal thing. So this is Sky Samurai, 2 cost, cannot be blocked by forwards of cost 4 or more, and then you can pay crystal to the end of the turn. It gains 3,000 power and haste. If you're going in on a crystal thing, I've always had respect for the partially unblockable or completely unblockable plus hasters. Like there's always that feeling when you think I'm safe, like they can't hit me this turn, and then haha, surprise game ender. So are you gonna run it in like any maybe standard win deck? No, probably not. But again, I've always enjoyed kind of cheese haste cards like this.
yeah, I mean, like, honestly, it's just really cheap. And I will say, I don't always love Ryoma Ito's art. Ryoma Ito brought his A game this set. This is the best his
Mm.
art has ever looked.
Yeah, I
Um,
love the flowers, the dandelions in the background. Looks so good.
I do really like this. One of the big issues with Wind, I've been building a cube lately, and even you could see it in draft. Like, if you're doing draft or sealed with FF, basically there's almost no reason to play Wind most of the time. It's very hard to make Wind work in limited. And cards like this are the things that make Wind start to function in limited. It's like, okay, cool. I have a 2 cost forward that can be big, can gain haste, and has a lot of extra utility. I love seeing cards like this being printed just because it makes this like I have like my own like draft priorities, and like Wind is so far at the bottom that I need to see something truly exceptional, or I will not be playing Wind in a draft or
Yeah.
sealed. And like if you think about it, like if you're drafting or whatever, 1/6 of the cards are going to be Wind. Somebody has to play it, so they should try to make it
Hmm.
function in that format. So I like this card for that. I don't think it's constructed playable probably, but like it's
Yeah.
maybe an okay one of if you're playing like a mono wind crystal deck. Edge, 4 cost, ninja, DFF 4, 7k, back attack. When he enters the field, shoots a 4, deal 4k. A damage 5 if he deals 4, damage increases by 4k instead. I feel like we've made this exact edge before.
Dude, I was just thinking that. I was like, how many times have I seen this edge, that back attack, and then it hits something, and like, and don't get me wrong, back attack's a rare keyword, so like that's always cool when a card gets it. But yeah, I thought that same when I read this, I was like, wait, isn't this Opus like 9 edge or 10 or however many edges I've seen before with text like this? Sorry,
Uh,
continue.
it feels like he should have like first strike or something so he could like.
Yeah.
It's like no, he like back attack do 4k and then probably die to blocking the thing is like so much less exciting than like because 4k is not killing anything if you're back attacking
No.
this in.
Well, and there was a ninja in Opus 8. I don't know if you remember him called Janai. He
Yeah,
was a lightning ninja, and he had back attacked 4K, but he had first strike, so he could always like essentially hit an 8K blocker. Like he was really cool. So it's just crazy how similar this card is to that, and it's this many sets later.
yeah, like it just doesn't feel like the card functions. And like the damage 5 is cool, but again, I think damage 5 they could almost print you win the game on damage 5 at this point. They printed it on damage
Yeah.
3 with Ferris and Atomos.
Hmm.
So like it's a draft common. We're talking about it more than it deserves to, but
Yeah.
it's just ugh. Scholar, this is the crystal backup for Wind. I think Dragoon was one of the more interesting crystal backups. I actually quite like First Strike as a keyword, even if it's only on your turn.
Yeah.
But I think if you're in a crystal deck, you really need access to those crystals. This is going to be a much easier source of them. So I quite like this card. It's also easier to, if you're playing the 3-cost crystal backups, you kind of want to be able to manage the number of backups you control. This is a better way of doing that than the Dragoon is because you're getting something out of it on a random turn potentially, or if you don't have
Yeah.
a forward in play. Guy Nattak. This is a really interesting one. 4-cost EX, Cat 7. He's Job Guy. When Guy Nattak is dealt damage, choose a forward opponent controls. At the end of your opponent's turn, break it. It will only trigger once per turn. And they're really just printing Dataluma in.
Yeah. This is a weird card. Like I actually like it quite a bit as a burst because it's since it will presumably, assuming you haven't like self damage, it'll occur on their turn. So now it just says, hey, that forward's doomed. It's gonna die. But like the idea that on your turn, granted, it's any dealt damage, so you could like ping this with a Cactar, but then you still have to wait a whole turn cycle to hit a forward, which we know in the past, like we've seen other effects like this. And what do they always do? Oh, it's gonna die anyway. Okay, well then I'll throw it at you, or I'll get the best out of it, or whatever it is. So like, yeah, yeah, I don't know, like a neat idea, but I don't know, it doesn't seem that great.
I can like see a world where like you get this out with 2 Cactuars, and you just like your opponent does. Say your opponent starts with no forwards, like
Mhm.
it's really going to be hard to like get forwards that don't have haste and get them to attack if you can stick the Guy Nattak with 2
Yeah,
Cactuars because you let like they play the forward, you ping, you kill it on the end of their turn, you go to your turn, you ping like. There's just kind of a world where it's like really difficult for them to play. But you're right. One of the issues, like I really liked the Goddess as a card, but there were a lot of games where you would play the Goddess, and it was like, cool, I got my board wipe. Oh my god, all 5 forwards are coming at my face.
yeah,
I can chump a couple of these, but I'm gonna eat a crap load of damage for the privilege of this board wipe.
right.
I mean, it's a great burst. I think that like there's like a Cullen in Water that does something similar, where it's like at the start of the next main phase 1, you put the forward in the
Yeah,
break zone. Like that card, I think is always like right on the cusp of being a pretty solid card for like EX burst decks, and it's a pretty similar effect. Um, I don't know how much you'd have to build around this to make it good. Like I feel like if you don't have like a Cactuar or something to ping it yourself, it's not very good. Maybe there's like a deck you play like this and you also have access to like the number like 128 I think it is. It's like he can do like a 7k ping if he's like Megissa damaged.
yeah,
So I don't know. I'm very interested in this card. I don't know if it's worth the hoops you have to jump through to get it, but like most of the cards involved in this, like you think about it's Cat 7, so you have Sid Highwind to search it. Like Cactuar is like
hmm,
it's not a amazing card, but it's not like a terrible card from my modern standards. So
yeah.
we'll see. Edward. First off, this is the coolest this character has ever looked in anything ever.
I was just saying that, dude. When I saw this art, it's the one I've actually seen before this moment, and I was like, "Oh my god, Edward looks amazing and just wow, gorgeous." Some of the best art in FF, and that's saying something.
So he's a 3-cost backup job bard. At the end of each of your turns, choose a forward you control and activate it. And he has a special haste march, which is S, double wind, and tap. Activate all the characters you control. You can only do this on your opponent's turn and only once per turn. Uh, no. This is kind of just my initial reaction to most of the text on the card. It's not
I mean,
bad
it's a
text.
special. This is one of the frustrations I always have. This is like some with few exceptions of specials like Elua's Shoal or Giga Wool's, Shield of Protection or whatever, like Ultimate Shield, I think it was called. They overcost so many of these specials. Like it's a special, it requires another Edward. Which, granted, specials on a backup are usually nice because it lets you do something with that extra backup. But like, why? I'm already paying 4, and he so technically 5 because he's got to tap himself too, dull himself. Well, like, why limit it to their turn? Like, I don't know. That just I find that frustrating.
Uh,
Sorry.
I mean, like, if they're going to limit it to just your opponent's turn, this could have just been an S and tap. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
like you have to make use of all your characters being active only on your opponent's turn. I like the end of turn ability is like it's a nice bonus. I don't hate that. Like it's neat. I don't think I'm gonna pay 3 on a backup and like
Yeah, you'd
I,
have to have some kind of forward that like benefits from that somehow. That gets some kind of triggered ability by doing that.
there are some nice forwards for it. I really like the Adele legend from Opus 23 that like when she
Mm-hmm.
attacks you can like basically freeze her to do that. Like that plus Edward would allow you to attack with Adele every turn without having a drawback. The
Yeah.
problem is it's competing with that slot for no. It's like what's the other card I'm looking at? Something like Griever or Une.
Yeah.
Like Une doesn't want this backup. Like Une doesn't want to be in wind unless it's a 4-color deck and there's no engine that makes
Yeah.
this your like. If you're in wind, like trying to make a wind card work in Earth Water, you're probably gonna run through like King Tycoon. You don't want that much. Again, I was talking about how wind doesn't have generic things that other decks want. It's weird because like if this cost 2, I would think it would be like crazy strong. Like I get why they tried to like make this a slight premium, but like it is so hard for a 3-cost backup that doesn't do something the turn you play it, like draw you a
Yeah.
card or like it's so hard for those to see play. And I don't think that like giving one forward pseudo brave every turn is quite
Yeah.
enough. It's not pseudo brave because again, like if you have an action ability, like it's better, but like a lot of action abilities are don't really work that well with it. And again, if they do, if they're in wind, you have no, which is a much better backup.
Mm-hmm.
I want to like this card because the art is so good. It's searchable with the new Ice Harl, which is such a crazy backup, and that would be an Ice Wind backup engine that comes from Ice, which is something that the game is like kind of lacking. The best one right now is Nuge, which gets you a Barrel Eye with no text.
Yeah.
Um, but this is probably just not good enough to make the cut in most decks. I feel like.
One final note: when I read, as I was reading the card for the first time, and I read the word haste march before I saw the text in my head, I was like, "Oh, it's going to be like Shoal. He's going to give your entire board haste." Okay, that could have been kind of cool. No, a move called haste march doesn't do anything like that.
Like I will admit, I think the special is really neat in concept. If it was cheaper, I would be like, oh wow, it's like a weird thing that you have to like build around and use it on your opponent's turn, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you could get like a bunch of stuff to cast your summons, and a lot of wind decks want to play a lot of summons anyway. So maybe that's like the way you get the stuff to do cool things like Belgiumine on your opponent's turn. And it's
Yeah.
like, but no, if you are doing it, he costs 2, he costs 1. The backups the card itself, or sorry, the special is 2 wind plus himself. That's 5. You just
Yeah.
like if you have 5 backups, that's the 5 backups.
Yeah, you've already got him. What do you need the haste march for then?
Like I guess you get your forwards back, but again, like the how many forwards do you really need to be able to activate on your opponent's turn? Like
Yeah. It seems more
it's
like a defensive measure, like, oh, all my blockers are dull frozen. I need to like save them.
I guess, but like Is that like
It's
something
not
we're
good.
excited for? And like he has to be
No.
active, so if your opponent's on ice, they can dull freeze him first.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's such a like again, it would be a really neat like get me thinking if it had any kind of a reasonable cost.
Yeah.
Like I would love to try to build around that effect. I can't build around that effect at 5 mana.
Yeah.
Zack.
Speaking of 5 mana.
Little Zack, EX Burst, Soldier, Cat 7, 7k power. When he enters the field, choose a wind forward other than Zack in your break zone, add it to your hand. Wind. During your turn, the cost required to cast your next wind forward is reduced by 2. Can only use this ability once per turn. I really like this card. He's a little bit pricey. Like 5 for a recursion forward is like usually you want that costing about 3 or 4 usually. But Wind has never had access to generic like recursion. Like they can
Yeah.
get back. You have Azura, which was special in the deck because it was recursion at all. But like if you discard a Fina or you discard a Lulu or a
Yeah.
Rosa, they're gone. You could never get them back. And like we have a great burst. I actually really like the action ability as well. I think it's a really neat design for Wind as well to like try to recoup some of the cost from Zack. You know, like it kind of makes him function again. Like I talked about with like Dr. Mog, how it's like it makes him work like almost like a mana dork in Magic, where it's like you feed one into him and he gives you 2 out, so he like almost
Yeah.
functions as like a weird backup in a way. Like I really like that ability. It's just a matter of is 5 too much for the deck, because the deck historically hasn't really it's really wanted this effect. It has not necessarily wanted it at 5 before.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a cool idea. I mean, he's pretty straightforward, but I like the idea that, hey, if he sticks around, he could really get you a lot of value. And I do think the burst does a lot of heavy lifting that, in theory, you never even have to bring this card to the field, and he could really benefit you.
In the ban report, when they talked about Kusith, they said about Tyro, they said the thing about Tyro is it felt like the first 3 cards in any deck are Tyro when you're playing an Earth. I feel like that's even truer for me in Kusith. I do not play an Earth deck
Yeah.
with that 3 Kusith in it. This is kind of just Kusith for Wind, which is great.
Yeah, it really is.
So, Zidane, very interesting name. He's a 3-cost backup. Tantalus member Thief. When he enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add a card of cost 2 or less from among them to your hand, and then you can tap and sack him to choose a card in your opponent's break zone and remove it from the game. They started giving that last effect to a lot more Wind cards. Wind is starting to get a lot of break zone hate, weirdly. The card is okay. If it had any other name, I would be a lot more interested.
Yeah, obviously the name clash is terrible. This is one of the most tame Zidanes I've ever seen. You know me, I got PTSD the moment I see his name on there. I'm like, oh god, what's it gonna do? How many cards is it gonna steal? No, this one's actually quite simple comparatively.
Yeah, like the effect is good. Like I think that like for Wind and Aphmau, which is what that first ability is like a really nice. It's even better than Aphmau because it's card of cost 2 or less. Aphmau only got characters of cost
Yeah,
2
you
or
get your
less.
summons off of this, right? That's really nice.
Like this would be great. It's just the name Zidane is so important and so contested. I don't think you can run a backup like this. So, Summoner. This is another one of our new job special arts. 2-cost backup. This is the one where if you have 5 backups, you can sack it, and this one lets you pick up a Wind summon in your break zone, which is honestly, as someone who's played a lot of Wind decks, this seems really nice as far as like if you there's a lot of kind of like these backups that compete for these utility slots in the deck, and I don't know if this one makes the cut honestly, but
Yeah.
being able to sack this to pick up an Azura is like pretty good. Pick up a Chocobo. There's no there's not a lot of like restrictions on what you can do if you're allowed, and one more summon a lot of times. Pick up an Alexander, and all of a sudden it's Pot of Greed, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
Alexander's really good with this.
yeah, there's just so many weird situations where that effect could come up and be good. And like there's like usually there's one extra backup slot in a Wind deck. I've had it be Millefew in the past where it's like a 1-cost Moogle backup that occasionally you can sack to draw 2. A second copy of Nash is a common one. Like Vieira, either of the Vieira backups that are printed recently are really good. This kind of feels like it's in a Carpenter's another one you see it like anywhere from 0 to 2 to 3 copies. This feels like it's in a similar vein. I just don't know if it's good enough relative to the other options.
Yeah.
But like as a one of, and like you could also do cute stuff where it's like you crack this, pick up Azura, cast the Azura, pick this up, play this. That's 2 casts for pretty cheap as well. Like
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I like this card a lot more than I thought I would on first read.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if this sees play.
Sylph.
Speaking of seeing play.
So here is our summon. Again, this is like all the other ones where you have this weird modal thing, but if you choose both modes, you have to pay a crystal. So Sylph costs 2. It either chooses a forward. It cannot be chosen by abilities until the end of your opponent's turn, or gains that ability, which is notable because it means that if they lose their abilities, they don't get that. Like, they still would lose that.
Yeah.
And the second ability is draw a card. I'll let you talk on this one a little bit. I think it's a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, so I have a genuine curiosity that back in the day they were a lot more generous with when something had protection, it just couldn't be chosen by summons or abilities. But as time went on, they really started just favoring can't be chosen by abilities, by abilities, by abilities. We saw that with the VV, we saw that with the Warrior of Light at the start of this win video. Like, so I have a genuine curiosity of like why did they start taking summons off of that on so many of these cards? Beyond that, this is one of those ones that like depending on how I tilt my head and look at it, it's like, wow, draw a card and you negate whatever big thing they're gonna do. Amazing. And then the other time's like, oh, well, it's just a straight draw. We have other win cards that draw, and then if it doesn't protect against summons, so I don't really know what to think about this. And then does win do a lot of crystal stuff too? I don't know. I'm not really sure how to feel about this card.
Like, I'm kind of a little bit. So, just to real quick kind of echo off of the abilities versus summons, they're kind of breaking it up a little bit more. There are a lot of cards they'll print that say can't be chosen by summons. There's like the Wind Legend, Tidus, the Warp Legend that like gives all your Warp cards can't be chosen by summons. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think in their mind they don't want these cards to be pure blanket answers a lot of the time. I think they want there to be counterplay,
Mm.
um, which summons would allow them to do. You'll also notice that like a lot of the very earliest versions of this card, like Titan says forward cannot be broken this turn. This
Yeah.
says gains cannot be chosen by abilities. So if you can blank the ability with a summon or like an AO, like a Marlboro, that'll still lose that protection. So
Yeah.
they're a little bit more cautious with that for sure. The card itself, I think, is really interesting, and I don't know how good it is. I don't think it goes in the normal win deck. Unfortunately, the forward that you probably most want to protect is named Rosa, and she has this first ability built
Yeah.
into her. And it's like, if you have that built in, you don't really need a card like this. But there are a lot of forwards I really want to protect. And one of the things about a lot of protection spells, like, say, the Dryad from previously, or the Carbuncle, that, like, say, like, the Carbuncle just straight up can't be chosen, can't be bounced, can't be, all that, is those cards don't have a secondary mode of draw a card. If you don't have the thing you want to protect and play on this, and you really need to dig for action or answers, paying 2 to cycle this for another card is really not that bad. Um, the other notable place for this is that like it's a really neat card for Rydia because Rydia right now is really getting preyed on by Cloud specifically. You play the Rydia, you power her up, they play the Cloud, Rydia dies, and you have to repower up. But if you
Yeah. And she
Amaterasu
doesn't
the
need the
Cloud,
crystal.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you Amaterasu the Cloud dies, and then they just go, okay, ditch Cloud, kill Rydia, and you're right back where you started. So this is a way of kind of locking the Cloud in play so they can't just immediately go for it, which I think could mean something, right? Like that's
Yeah.
and like
Well,
and
like you
again,
said, she doesn't need the crystal cross or crystal cost, right? Because of the way her counters work.
yeah. So like against like Cloud specifically for Rydia, this is like better Amaterasu because it's Amaterasu that doesn't kill the forward and draws you a card. And I wonder if conceptualizing some of these protection abilities as this is also just kind of Amaterasu is like for specific types of things, maybe that's like good enough. Like, if my opponent has like if I have something really important to protect and my opponent like invests all in, say I have an Une out and they go for it and I stop it with Sylph and then I pick up the Sylph again, like I'm
Mm.
probably chilling at that point, right?
Yeah.
So, my opponent has to go for LB Vincent and they pay 5 and sack the backup and I Sylph that. I probably won that game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems very powerful. There's a lot of interesting utility with it. I don't know how much play it sees because it is like as a pure protection spell, it's worse than Dryad. As a pure card draw spell, it doesn't hold a candle to the Alexander. It's this
Right.
weird, you need kind of both, or you need to feel like you want to draw if you don't have your protection pieces online yet. So yeah, really interesting. Some of my favorite Amano art, by the way. I really like this one.
Yeah, she looks awesome.
Cluckatrice.
Speaking of looking awesome,
2 cost bird MBM. End of each of your turns, choose a forward you control and activate it. It's the Edward text, but on a monster instead.
yeah, you said Edward was bad. Holy moly, I didn't realize how bad. We just got the same effect. I would argue this is better because it can turn into an attacker, and monsters are very hard to interact with anyway. Like, and it even works with itself, right? Like, you could turn it into a forward attack and then trigger to restand itself up to potentially be a blocker. Like, why does this just have Edward's text in the same set? This seems way better.
Yeah, it's one of these monsters like this in the cycle, and like you said, it's not other forward. He can activate himself. Like at minimum, he's a
Yeah,
2 cost brave 6K and win. But also, if you've got something better to reactivate, you can activate that instead. I don't know why this one is like it's again. I don't know what deck needs or wants this. Maybe like I said with Adele,
sure.
could be good, but like it really puts into perspective. Like, man, this really doesn't feel. This is like the small bonus they throw on the wind monster, and it's like what they put on the hero 3 cost backup.
Yeah.
Uh, Paine up next. This is she's a Gull Wings White Mage, Cat 10, 5K. End of each of your turns, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Cat 10 forward, add it to your hand. And at the end of your turn, you can put her in the break zone to play a Paine from your hand onto the field. I'll let you start on this one.
She's cool. I like her, and I like that the way her end ability works. You can stack it, so it's like, oh, in theory, you could like reveal, find the new Pain you want to play, and then sack her and play the new Pain. Granted, I don't recall there being like some crazy powerful Pain that you want to play. Like you could always play the Searcher one, play the Searcher, and then maybe search out one of the others. I mean, I know there have been some versions of Gullwing decks, so maybe she just goes in there and cycles it. Like I like her abilities. She's clearly like solid and will generate you value if she sticks around, but I just don't know if there's like a banger Pain that you're trying to sacrifice her for.
This card is like really close, I feel like, to being a great card. The fact it has to be a Cat 10 forward, like again, if you're maxing
Yeah,
out,
forward
it's like
specifically.
like I could see like okay, Cat 10 character, Cat 10 card, like either of
Yeah,
those. I
or
think
forward or backup.
yeah, like character exactly, like would have been great. But like respiring it to specifically be a forward, even if you do it, it's like okay, it's a coin flip to draw a card. I think the lore and what she's doing is really cool. She's dress fearing. She's changed like they got
Yeah,
that flavor across, and it's cool. There's no restriction on the Pain you can tag into. So like the 6 cost fire one that like really didn't see any play is like a pretty neat thing
yeah,
to tag into. Um, it's like it's really close. I don't feel like it's that far off being good. And like Pain is probably of the Gullwings members we have in print right now. I'd say she's the most replaceable. Like the Opus One starter's also a card that or the one that's like if you have a Yuna draw a card. If you have a Riku, activate 3 backups. Or things whichever order it is. Like that card's still fine, but getting that at the end of your turn is less valuable than otherwise. She's meant to pair with a Riku we'll see later on, and the Yuna from this set. So like we'll see those in a little bit, but like it just feels like it's one of those cards that's just so high rolly even on the best of days that I don't really feel that much excitement for it.
yeah. And if they really wanted to capture the dress fear change, she should have come back to your hand. So that would like she doesn't kill herself when she changes dresses, so she should have just done the change and then she comes back down as the new person. Kind of similar to that old Onion Knight that could like job change and he like flipped around in your hands and
Oh, that,
such.
that would have been cool, yeah. There's a whole Yu-Gi-Oh archetype called Dragon Maids that's built around that, where it's like you have like little ones that tag into big ones during the battle phase, and then
Oh,
when
that's cool.
they and the idea is that like as they tag out, you can like almost use it as a pseudo card draw as well, because when the little ones tag into the big ones, they can tag in from the break zone. But then when the big
Oh,
ones tag
nice.
back into the little ones, they go to your hand and they have hand effects. So you discard them to get more value out of it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Um,
I wish they'd kind of done something with that.
yeah, it would have been really cool. As it is, I don't think she's a bad card. I just don't really know what I would play her in.
Yeah, and who knows if some Legend Pain ever comes out, and obviously she gets better.
So Black Cat, this is part of that Arcadian fighter cycle where they're all above curve and they have a symmetrical effect. So 2 cost, cat 14, enters the field. Each player may play a character with cost 3 or less from their hand onto the field. And then damage 3, you get to play a character of cost 3 or less from your break zone and put it in your hand. This one is weird to me because of all of the Arcadian fighters, all of their damage 3s usually mitigate the drawback a lot more effectively than this.
Yeah.
This is
Like,
the
I
one
like
that,
the synergy of it there, of that, like, hey, like, if you didn't have one, the damage 3 feeds you the card that you can then play. But, man, I'm giving my opponent any 3-cost character or less. I don't know there, Mr. Ghoul.
uh, yeah, like if it was like your opponent sacrifices, like I would have expected, like if by all the other ones, it would have been like your opponent sacrifices a character or something like to basically turn off the downside. The fire one that
Yeah.
we saw, it's like you do 9k each, but he gets a 2k damage reduction. So if he pings himself, he doesn't die, but your opponent's forward probably does.
Yeah.
I guess there wasn't an ice one. Like and like the both players play a character of cost 3 or less is very powerful. But I also think it's a lot of power to be giving to your opponent.
Yeah.
Like, imagine doing this, playing a backup, and then your opponent plays a Laswell on you or something.
Right. Or even just, oh, my free tutor searcher. Cool. Thanks. I didn't even have to pay for it. Like, yeah, I'll get a free search on your turn, and then I've already got a backup ready to untap. Like, ugh. Yeah, no thanks. It makes me think like, okay, well, you could pair it with ice, right? So you discard their hand, so that way they don't have anything. But then, I mean, Ice Wind is already has its own pieces. Like, do you need this for that? Like,
And like having this weird extra timing piece of like, this card only works when your opponent has no cards in hand is,
yeah,
yeah, I don't like this one very much. I like the design. I will say this. I like the design. I think it's a neat concept. I like seeing cards like this that make people think. But man, I don't think this card you can play it.
yeah,
All right, up next we have Marche. I will say I was really, really excited for this card. We saw the Ritz pretty early. We figured there was a Marche. There hasn't been a Marche printed, by the way, since Opus 16.
Oh,
I
wow.
counted. There have been 13 Yunas and 14 Lightnings in that time frame, or something crazy like that. Like, I don't think FFTA is the best game of all time, but like it's good to see it getting some love after a long time with nothing.
yeah,
Um, Marche is a forward. He's a clan leader from FFTA. 7k. If you have 2 backups, he gains 1,000 power and haste. Already pretty okay. 5 or more backups. He can't be blocked by a forward of cost 3 or less. That's one of your favorite text lines.
indeed.
When he deals damage to your opponent, you can pay a crystal. When you do so, draw 2 cards. I will let you start on this card.
Man, so like this is clearly a legend based on the amount of text on him. Um, I like the first 2 lines. Again, I like the idea of incentivizing you to play backups. I like cards that get stronger with more backups. The crystal one just feels so like what's the word I'm looking for? Ham-fisted or like haphazard or like, hey, it's a crystal set, so let's slap a crystal text on it. Like, I almost wish he either like went more in on the crystals or I don't know. But and the crystal is like his best payoff, right? Like drawing 2 cards, that's really good.
Draw
And
2
especially
was like that's an absurd line of text to print on a 3 cost forward with haste.
yeah, that also has the ability to feed into his self damage because he can't be blocked by a majority of the forwards in the game. So, man, I'm just not a crystal guy. So the moment I saw, I was like, oh, why do you got to do crystals? But I don't know. Maybe if you're doing a crystal package, maybe this is the payoff you're hoping for. But then it still wants you to get a bunch of backups down. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what to feel about this card.
Uh, I will do what I can with this card. I'm really interested. Like I said, like a 3 cost 8k haste, like that's already not even that bad. Like I've heard some talk about this being good in Gigawall because like a lot of Gigawall lists are playing crystals to enable the crystal Barts.
Oh,
And,
yeah,
like
that is true.
but like my fear with that is, let's say I play the normal Gigawall turn is like backup turn 1, turn 2
Hmm.
Gigawall, right? If I
Yeah,
spike Marche plus another forward, I don't get anything from Marche.
yeah, that's
So I have
true.
to like specifically spike Marche with the crystal generator backup, and it's like, oh man, that's like a really tough like hoop. Like it's just like an extra hoop that I don't think Gigawall really needs. Like the Gigawall's
Yeah,
already such a strong deck that like, well, that's what Gigawall needs is more variants of like, do I
yeah,
find my
right.
crystal for my early play or not, right? And
Yeah.
like Gigawall, I don't think hates being in Wind because the Princess Goblin's actually a really good card for the deck. Like that searches the Warrior of Light, or like a second backup if you're willing to run a Princess Sarah.
Yeah.
Stola and Zidane are very strong hits off of a Gigawall, but like again, now we're saying Gigawall with crystals, and like we're just starting to add like layers and layers and layers on there
Yeah.
that make me kind of wonder like about its viability in Gigawall. Maybe there's like an ice wind list, like it's a great way to like feed the crystals from like a Kadaj. Like you're
Yeah,
getting
that's true.
wind water crystals. You're making so many crystals with like the Cyan. Lucio is still a card that basically just says if you can stick me to the field, you just get infinite crystals that your heart desires. Like any of these decks, he would be amazing in. It's just like I don't feel like they're necessarily solving the fundamental issues with crystals by printing this. It's just the
Yes.
most pushed crystal card as far as card draw we've ever seen, and it is.
Yeah.
I cannot reiterate how difficult it is to draw 2 cards most of the time in this game.
Yeah.
Maria. Maria is a 4-cost warrior rebel 2, category 2, 5,000 power. When she enters the field, search for a cat 2 forward of cost 3 or less, play it onto the field. Obviously, the lore here is you're supposed to play like the Leon from this set that like doesn't have to do anything if you do that. But
Yeah.
like, there's some actually pretty premium targets for this. This is like shockingly good for a common.
Yeah.
This plays like the multicolor Furion, the
I say
Emperor,
the fact that it gets Furion alone, that's pretty cool.
the the guy from this set's actually really good. I really like the Emperor from last set, the Water Legend. I think is a very powerful card. This
Yeah.
just gets to play it from deck, which is huge. People don't realize this, but like Cat 2 has some really powerful synergies as well. You have cards like the Minwu that like revives a forward of cost less than the number of backups you control. So like if you have 4 backups and you can go Minwu, Maria, Furion, that's like 3 forwards out of nowhere, like one of which came from deck and you didn't like off of just one card. And the Minwu gives all of them protection from abilities as well. Like there's
Hmm.
a lot to like here for like a really simple 4-cost common.
Yeah, she's solid. She does exactly what she promises.
Yuthi. So this is our other wind legend. She's a ninja. She's a forward. She has 8,000 power. When she enters the field, you choose 2 cards in your opponent's break zone, remove it from the game, and gain 2 crystals. She has 3 action abilities. 1, pay a crystal. She gains 1,000 power in haste. Pay a crystal. She can't be chosen by abilities. Pay 2 crystals. Choose a forward. Deal it 8,000 damage. I will let you start on this.
So obviously we've established I'm not a crystal person, but I do think this card, whether it succeeds or not, attempts to address what I think the fundamental issue with crystals is. And if you want to elaborate on that, please, I always love to hear your thoughts. To me, the issue with crystals has always been that the generators of crystals and the spenders of crystals are for the most part always separate cards, right? So you get into this situation, oh cool, I have my Glaciella, I have my thing that wants to spend the crystals, but I didn't see any of the backups that give them to me, so I don't have any to spend. Or vice versa, well, I saw the crystal generators, and I've played plenty of games like that, I've got 8 crystals sitting on the side here, but then I can't find the card that uses them. So similar with the Kadaj, I like that the Yuffie is kind of self-contained. She generates her own crystals that she can then use, and she's got some solid abilities. Like if you had 6 crystals, similar to Glaciella, you can keep throwing 2 and just start shotgunning stuff down. 8k, 8k. There's no limit to that, as far as like your turn or once per turn. Protection from abilities, that's nice too. And then haste, so she's that surprise game ender. So I like what this card is trying to do given that crystal package. Again, is that going to be enough to make this its own archetype or worth building around? That I don't know. So let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like again, she definitely seems like so. There's an easy analog of Magic the Gathering 2 crystals in energy, which it's really funny that FF decided to do crystals as like their own version of energy because energy is like a notoriously terrible to balance mechanic that like has
Yeah.
only very specific fans and has a lot of issues every time they printed it. And one thing though on the Magic cards is the good crystal or the good energy cards, the good crystal cards are the ones that both generated it and spent it themselves.
Yeah.
There's like and she does that, which is good, and much like Glaciella, she can be self-contained. If you play this as a good stuff card in your win deck with no other crystals, she can be 4-cost haste, can't be chosen by abilities. She could be 4 cost, kill one thing, all of which is like, not bad.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I really don't like, I think she has a really unfavorable comparison to me to a couple of cards in Legends that I think are some of the most overrated cards in the entire game. And
Mm.
I don't like seeing that comparison. I'm thinking of the Irvine. That's like the Lightning Irvine that removes 2 cards. If they're both
Yeah.
characters, he gains haste. And the Gilgamesh LB, the one that like eats 2 cards in your opponent's break zone.
Yeah.
I think both of those cards are awful, like truly bad cards. And they have moments that people think they're good because they're really good at gotchaing people. Of like,
Yeah.
oh, I hit one of your forwards into damage before you recur the other copies of that forward of that summon. I'm going to do this and I'm going to eat those cards and I'm going to win off of that. But like, so often I see those cards come down and the tempo loss of getting them into play is game losingly bad. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the cost of getting this Yuffie down initially is going to be so high unless you just
Yeah.
have a lot of crystals to spend with her, or she's a 4 cost, do 8k to a forward, which is not bad, but like, is that something I'm excited to sleeve up? Is that a legend quality card? Is that
Exactly.
uh it's
Yeah, it still it feels very safe, right? Like none of these abilities are like, oh, like Glaciella at least was a card. Okay, that's worth spending a crystal on because her special was so crazy and her ability to feed specials was so crazy. This just feels kind of like a standard card. It just happens to use crystals. Like,
I really want to like this card. I've kind of gotten a real affinity for Yuffie over the last like however many sets since Opus 18. That legend is, I think,
mm-hmm.
kind of cemented itself as one of my favorite cards of all time. Anytime I see a new Yuffie, I'm kind of excited for it just because of that alone. I
Yeah,
love this character in Remake. She's so good there, despite not really ever having been a character before it. Um, but yeah, I just like, and like she plays really well with Marche. Marche can kind of mitigate the tempo loss of playing her. She makes 2 crystals for
yeah,
Marche. Like, there's definitely like there's like hints of something here. I just, again, like, if you need to spend this to make the crystals, like, that just feels like such a tempo loss unless you could recoup the value almost immediately with like the Marche, or needing to use her abilities to win the game.
yeah.
Something funny about this is like the 3rd set in a row they kind of pseudo broken their full art rule. She shouldn't be a full art by their normal rules. She should be a normal card.
Yeah.
They don't usually. So if you don't know, the rules for full arts are usually new art only gets full arts, and new art from not like, if it's this character illustration but not like it's not category Mobius, usually as new art it'll be a full art. They broke the rule on this one, and she's a full art. They did it last set with the Jack Garland. The set before that, they broke it for the Lightning Legend. It feels like they're trying to make a couple of extra legends a full art. This is the first set ever, I believe, that every single legend is a full art, which
Yeah.
I
Well, they
really
should
like.
have.
Like, that's a
Well, I was gonna
really,
say, with this card in particular, they should have kept to the rule because this is a boring full art. God, look at all that blank background space.
I don't know. But it's funny, like, this the Barrett from this set is from the same art collection as this Yuffie, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Um, but like, again, I'm not complaining about it. I like having more copies of the hardest to pull cards in circulation. This
Yeah.
gives you the collectors something to chase after. The people that want to bling out their decks have good things to chase after for all of the high rarity cards, which then means the non foils should be in much easier circulation for the players that need them to play the card game. It's
Mhm.
actually very, very, like, it's a really nice thing. I'm very happy they're doing that. It's just an interesting thing to note about this card that I always like pointing out, just because I feel like a lot of people don't know what causes cards to be full arts a lot of the time. But like, prior to the last 3 sets where they've done it for 1 card in each set, they did not do that with one exception that I can know of, which is the Sarah Mobius from Opus 19. Um, Otherwise, those rules held steady for every single card they ever printed. So,
Oh, I gotcha.
yeah. We have Richt. This is the Warrior of the Crystal for Wind this set. BE. 4 cost 8k. When he enters the field, you can pay a crystal to play a backup of cost 2 or less in your break zone of the field. And when he attacks, choose 2 backups and activate them. This is a weird one
Very,
for me, because I feel like the most
very
likely thing you're
boring.
going to do with this guy is you're going to revive a Dragoon or a Scholar, and you're going to get back the crystal you paid for him.
Right? Yeah, I thought that too.
And it's like, yeah, that is certainly something you can do. And it's like, I guess that means he's 4 cost to play a backup from your break zone, which like that's okay text. I don't hate that text box, but am I excited about that? I don't know. I could have also probably played the backup. Like it's probably not going to be uncommon for me to like ditch a card to like ditch the backup I want to revive with this card and then play it back with them.
Right.
And like the on attack trigger is fine. We've seen it a couple of times before with like the cane and like the
Yeah.
with this like attack activate a couple backups. It's useful text to have. It could help you in the right situations, but like I don't know. I just can't help but feel a little bit underwhelmed by this card and kind of like what he's asking you to do for the privilege of doing crystal. But he's also like pretty okay like in general. I don't know. Am I reading too
Yeah,
much
he's
into this? Is it just like a fine
no, no.
card?
I just think he's fine, but he's just boring. Again, it's the crystal cost. Because imagine this: imagine you didn't have to pay the crystal to get that entry effect. So you discard your dragoon, your crystal generating backup. You play him. He brings it onto the field. Now you get your crystal. Now turn 2, you tap that backup. Pitch a card, you play your 3-cost searcher, he attacks, boom, you activate both of those, and now you play your next backup off of those. Like, there could be something there, but that only works if you already have a crystal, and you're not already going to have a crystal until you play that backup in the first place. So again, it's just crystals continue to just be this weird thing.
Yeah. I think he's fine. I just don't know if I'm excited enough to sleep him up for anything. Leon. Okay, I guess I forgot that we haven't talked
Leon!
about this. So Leon is a 2-cost Cat 2 warrior rebel with 8k. When he enters the field, if you don't control a Maria and if you don't pay 2, put Leon into the break zone. So we don't have to talk about this card too much other than the fact that this card is not written properly. It does not do what it says on the tin.
Oh, it doesn't? Why?
So this is my friend's spoiler.
Oh, okay.
Khalil RLS.
Oh, yeah, of course.
This is his spoiler. We saw this card, and we were dying laughing because we thought it was the worst card ever printed. Because if you read this, if you don't control a Maria, and if you don't pay 2, that would read to me as if you have to do both. You have to both have a Maria, and you have to pay the 2. So you would have to use always worse than a black belt. They've clarified that like that's not the card either isn't worded properly or translated incorrectly. They're going to put an errata. The only useful thing about this card potentially is like if you're in a Win Nox Suzaku deck, this is the cheapest forward in Win that sacrifices himself when you play him.
Is it supposed to be worded so essentially you need one or the other? Not
Yeah, if you
both?
have the Maria, you don't pay anything. If you don't have the Maria, you can pay 2 and he stays.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which like
that makes more sense.
That's a perfectly fine draft common, right?
Yeah.
But like we saw that though, we thought it was like so in the best of scenarios.
He's a black belt.
We were like trying to like think like how good Maria would have to be for that text to actually like be.
Well, give him another line of text. Like I get it. It's Leon's thing to have these crappy cards that always betray you and hurt you, and like it make him a 9K at least. Like, come on, if you're gonna have this, like make him a 10K. Give him some power with Maria or Furion or something. Like, why is this card so bland?
Yeah, like I said, the most important thing about this card is that you could play him in a Nox Suzaku deck, have him immediately die, then play Nox Suzaku and get a good forward off the top of your deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny that like this card, this stupid common, generated way more discussion than it ever should have, because the way it is written, it reads like the worst card in the history of time.
Yeah, it should just say or, right? If you don't control a card named Maria, or if you don't pay 2, put him in the break zone. Wouldn't that fix it?
Yeah. Or fixes it. If you don't control a card named Maria when Leon enters the field, if you don't pay 2, it changes the functionality of the card slightly. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares about the rulings for this card. It's just one of those things where it's like
no one's playing it anyway, but
it almost lost some of the sauce when we found out how like the card is actually intended to be played. It's like, oh, so it's just bad. Oh. it's not like it's not like funny bad anymore. It's just like boring. Okay. Red XIII. I think this is the last win card. It is.
Yeah.
So 2-cost Cat 7. He's a warrior with 5,000 power. When he enters the field or forms a party and attacks, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add a Cat 7 character. to your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. I kind of like this card. It's like, it's not crazy. I think one of the more annoying things is like actually forming a party with them is a little bit tricky because there's not that many win Cat 7 forwards.
Yeah.
Because it's like he can form a party with anything, but like if you don't have a large density of category 7 forwards, then you can't party attack anyway. So it's like pretty much if you perform, he almost could have said he forms a party with Yuthi and attacks for that second line attacks. Like there's just not that many other cards that care about Cat 7 in Wind, but like even just the ETB of like this like really cheap forward that comes in, flips 3 and adds a Cat 7 card, that's like perfectly acceptable as long as he hits.
Yeah. Of the many reasons that Opus 12 was one of the best sets they ever printed, part of it was they really pushed this party mechanic with Bartz and Boko and Yuna. So I've always liked, because I think party attacks are one of the coolest things about this game, and it makes it feel like a real Final Fantasy game. So I'm always on board for cards that encourage you to party. And at his absolute worst, I mean, assuming he gets you a character back, he's just a 2-cost, basically replace himself in your hand. So
yeah, it's nice to have the upside. Like this could have just said enters the field, do this. And I would have said, like, yeah, that's totally fine. So the fact there's, like, any upside at all is kind of nice. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And that is going to do it for Wind. Like, honestly, I think it's a pretty interesting set for Wind, which I'm happy about. I'm not happy about the fact that, again, it seems like so much of it is tied to crystals now. Where it's like, does Wind have to start becoming the crystal element when you factor in stuff like Crystal Bartz and Marche and Yuthi? Like, is that like what they're trying to push us towards? It feels like Wind is also just kind of getting all of the weird stuff that no one else can make work.
Yeah.
With like warp as well. Like there's a lot of warp support in Wind randomly. No one can make crystals work. Screw it. Let's throw it in Wind and try to push it there because I guess in their mindset, like if they push those and they flop, they're not going to break mono Wind on accident. Like that's I like that has to be the thought process, right? Is that like if we can't just print Marche with generic text because then Mono Wind starts playing him and he becomes a draw engine for that deck and it becomes really oppressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't just print like Fina is this really broken card, Vayne are these really broken cards, but like because they're tied to Warp, which is just this terrible mechanic, it's not going to break the game because they're not going to go in the Mono Wind deck. Like it really feels like they're going so far out of their way to make sure that doesn't happen, which is like unfortunate. Like I genuinely. Mini rant here. That's why I wish they would utilize the ban list a little bit more, is because then they could start to say, you know what? We want to be able to push Wind again. We haven't been able to push Wind for, it feels like the last 2 years because and it's like the existence of Luso and its Homos or whatever it ends up being is too much for the format if we start giving this deck more cards, and the play pattern is really frustrating. We don't want new players to go to locals, sit down with their, shiny Dragoons deck or Warrior of Light deck or I really like Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 9, and they sit there and their Wind player goes back up, Marvel vs. Capcom 3,
right,
hey kid, want to see an Infinite, oh, you made an action. Fina, cancel. Fina, cancel. You're dead. I'm stealing all the cards on your deck. I'm playing your deck better than you could. That's what it feels like they're trying to avoid. And it's like if they just banned Luso or banned Rosa or whatever the card is that's the actual problem here, maybe we get cool and interesting stuff in Wind again. Because again, this was, if you'd asked me in Opus 18 what my favorite element is, I would have said Wind. Wind was the deck that I was most excited to play at tournaments, and I haven't sleeved up a Wind deck like for like a major tournament. I played one at Worlds in 2024, and that's like about it. Like I haven't taken it to a Materia Cup. I haven't been tempted to take it to a Materia Cup. I didn't take it to either of the Oceanic Continentals. I played Earthwind in the Winter Cup that we won as a group. So one of my favorite tournament experiences of all time. I love that deck. That Retainer Storm deck was so cool.
I know. You're so good at it too.
And it's like that deck's in a really, really bad spot because the Wind generics haven't kept up. And a lot of the Earth cards they printed as well don't really fit that deck either. Like the good Earth cards don't work there either. But it's like these are really cool and unique directions to push Wind. and it's so burdened by this like bloated corpse of mono wind storm holding it down that like I really wish they would just again excise it from the format and then fix it. Like,
Fully
and
agree.
and like and again, like they have like these ideas. It's like the Warrior Vita set is like, you know, oh, you get all these characters out, then you could play Bismarck, and then you could ping all their stuff down with Bismarck, and then you could use the Edward backup, to activate the Bismarck for extra pings,
Right.
and then you could do the special, and then you could ping all their stuff on their turn again, and it's like that's great until you get Shantoto'd.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's the same issue every card game runs into. Lorcana's struggling with it right now. That when a card like Luso and that engine exists, every single card we read today, I thought, okay, but if I put in that much effort, I could just do the Luso thing, and that works, and that wipes their board and draws me cards. Like, so why should I put in just as much effort for this card for like a tenth of the profit? Like, there's just no reason. So yeah, I think if they ever truly want to like push Wind in a fun new direction, they have to call that old stuff.
or they have to find. Like I said, maybe crystals is just what they do from now on. Just every legend has to have a crystal printed on it, and every like good backup in the future has to have a crystal on it.
Yeah.
So, and like that's what they do to like try to like force you to not play that with the storm deck or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Which, if they do that, give me a monster or a backup or some, not a forward, some kind of thing that just generates a crystal for me every turn. And you can restrict it however you think is necessary. It can only be played in mono wind. It has this, blah, 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 whatever. But give me that. Like, if you want me to go in on the crystals, then make sure I have those crystals to use. That if I want to go in on a legend like Yuffie, I know I'm always going to have those crystals just feeding into it every turn.
Yeah, honestly, like it feels like they could have printed a Godo backup this set that like says if you control a Yuffie, zero cost action ability only during your turn, make a crystal.
Yeah.
Like that would have been
Yeah. Why
great,
not?
right?
Absolutely. That would have been awesome.
You know, I said like there's a lot of like it feels like there's potential there. Like again, I don't want to discount the good things that they do this set because like I said, I do think as far as win goes, I like a lot of the cards in this set. I even think, like I said, the draft common standard unit forward they have, I think is a really nice card that like has a purpose and does something and is very
Mhm.
powerful in limited. But like, where do I play? Like, if I'm playing an other, say I want to play like I've got my Earth deck right, and I want to start playing a second element in it. Like,
Yeah.
it's already hard enough to get me off of mono Earth, right? If I'm like playing a mono deck for the good backups. What does
Yeah.
wind add to any element right now? It adds, like I said, Alexander, Lulu.
Chocobo, maybe.
Chocobo's fallen out of favor. Like Chocobo only sees
Wow.
play in those storm decks. Like I
That's
would think,
crazy.
like like you would have thought, like Refia, like what's the most important thing? Making sure Refia doesn't die. I always have
Yeah.
copies of Refia. I should be fine. I have never seen an Opus 10 Chocobo in that deck.
Yeah. Well, you can't cast it reliably, so yeah.
Yeah, so you would think, well, what about the unit decks? Like the unit decks, like they go to kill your Una, you make them tax it, and then you bounce the Una back to your hand, and you play it on your next turn. Haha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Those decks were in wind a lot of time. Or they would have like access to wind cards. They would play a Hooded Man. They would play the Wind Cecil. There were so many ways they could have gotten access to the wind cards.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Chocobo has
Mm-hmm.
completely fallen out of favor with people for this stuff. Like it's not the powerhouse it once was. Like, and it's like, what's next? Like I said, Yuffie Opus 18, like the card that's now at this point 2.5 years old.
Yeah.
Sid Highwind's one of the best backups ever printed, but again, what are we searching? We're searching Yuffie or Aerith,
Right.
and that's it. Like there's not that I guess Zack now. That's cool. But again, Zack is kind of feeding into wind as a wind deck and not necessarily as, this supplemental engine that makes other decks better. And like,
Yeah.
if I'm playing fire, it's like cool, I get Amaterasu, I get Cloud, I get Zeromus, I get Zondi, Clive Ifrit. These are cards that are good wherever. If I'm playing Earth, that's okay. Toto, Kusith, Mistdragon, there's plenty of cards. Claris. these like really strong backup. I guess Nordstalin maybe could be like an argument for that because Nordstalin has a good target in every color now.
Yeah.
If you go like ice, every ice deck wants Seymour. Every ice deck has to consider Rufus. Every ice deck has to consider, all of these other cards. Len, for instance, and it's like, what does Wind offer?
Not
I
a
don't
lot.
know. And I don't know what it's supposed to offer. So that's my rant. I'm going to cut it there on a bit of a downer. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one for what I would now say is probably my favorite element in the game in Earth.
Bye.